Hey, this is Transcast, and I'm AJ. I want to talk to you a little bit about what to do after you've accepted that you're trans. So, if you're transgender, or you know somebody who is, maybe you have a friend or a family member, or maybe you're even a parent who has a child who is transgender, I'm hoping that the next few minutes will kind of help you along. So, you've accepted it. You're happy to a point that you know what you want to do with your life now, and you know who you're supposed to be, who you want to be. So what do you do next? What's your next step? A lot of people hit this roadblock and have absolutely no idea whatsoever what they're supposed to do. So there are a few things you can do. One thing that I recommend is checking out some forums online. Now, there are some terrible forums, so kind of go in and, perfectly honestly, I know people don't like lurkers on forums, but I would totally lurk for a little while, get a feel for the people that are on that forum, and whether or not you feel that it's a positive place. There are some trans forums online where there is, I'll say, some bickering and infighting. It's not completely uncommon in the trans community, unfortunately. We're a very emotional and sensitive lot, particularly me. No, not really. I can take care of myself. I'm pretty insensitive. Maybe that's not the right word, but I'm getting a little bit far away from the topic. So, one forum that I highly recommend, because I actually went there and I found it to be extremely enjoyable and extremely helpful, is emptyclosets.com. It's geared a little bit more toward a younger crowd, kind of teens, early 20s, but there are people of all ages, and it's a general LGBT forum. And there are actually several active and extremely helpful trans members that are more than willing to talk to you and kind of offer their perspective, listen to what you're going through, maybe even help you a little bit. So that is a wonderful site. I cannot recommend it enough after some of the forums that I've been to. There is also, of course, on Facebook a number of trans forums, trans groups that you can check out. And many of them are pretty good groups. There are a few that I'm members of. Excuse me. And there's actually one that I run called Trans Alliance, Trans-Alliance. I don't really know why the dash is in there. I put it in there because I thought it seemed cool, and now it just makes me sad. But it's in there, so it's staying. But like I said, it's a group that I run, and I'm more than happy to chat and discuss anything that you might want to bring up. There aren't really any topics that are off limits. The only rule there is just don't attack each other. So we got forums are a good place to start. There's also, if you have the opportunity, trying out dressing like the gender that you identify with, whether it be male or female, is a good step too. That can help you kind of feel it out a little bit more, and a lot of times when you get dressed in the clothing that matches that gender, you're gonna start to feel a little bit more comfortable, and so yeah, that's definitely something to try too. One thing that I won't recommend is self-medicating, and that can be really risky when you're dealing with things like hormones and hormone blockers to block your physical sex's hormones. There are definite health risks that arise, and you want a medical professional kind of keeping an eye on you and watching over just to make sure that your body is reacting the way that it should and that you're not having any real negative responses there are some pretty serious health risks that can come with hormones. So just be careful. Don't self-medicate. Do things right. This is too important to just kind of take into your own hands. So you've done the forum thing. Maybe you even dressed a little bit. If you feel like going out in public, go for it. Otherwise, if you're only comfortable being at home right now, that's great too. Anything that's progress for you is definitely a positive step. So once you've done that, another good thing to, one of the most important things that you're going to do is try and find a therapist. So where do you find a therapist? How do you find a gender therapist? A lot of times you can talk to more general practitioners. They may have an idea. You can contact other therapists in the area and they might be able to point you towards someone. Another site that is actually an excellent resource called tsroadmap.com, and they have all kinds of transgender resources, not just the whole therapy thing, but other doctors, maybe groups that meet, and you can filter it by state, so you can kind of find something that might be close to you that you can do. Again, it's a wonderful place to go when you're starting to search for a therapist, though. It might not be the therapist you end up with, but at least you get to see a therapist. You're starting out, and if the first therapist that you talk to you don't really click with, they may be able to point you in the direction of another one. Most of the time, they're going to understand if it's a patient-doctor relationship that just isn't clicking, isn't working. They're going to want you to get the help that you need, so they're going to help you find it if they can't provide it. So what else? I think that covers a lot of what I wanted to talk about. So acceptance, we have the forums, kind of dressing or trying to take on more the role of your true gender in private, at least, if not public. Searching for a therapist, and that's kind of how things start. From there, you'll work with your therapist and potentially go on to HRT after that, hormone replacement therapy, and it's kind of turning into another subject. Kind of running out of the time that I want to use, so I think that's a good point to end our discussion for today. I hope you've enjoyed this first video in the series. I enjoyed making it. I do want to give a couple shout outs before I end. A good friend of mine, Robin, gave me the idea for the title, Transcast. I like it. And I have another friend on Facebook who does videos about gender transition and just kind of the transgender world, and her YouTube channel is Miss Melanie, and a lot of her videos are influenced by her love of and participation of MMA, mixed martial arts, and it's a really neat perspective on transitioning and kind of something that I never really would have probably looked into so much before, but she's got a great personality. Her videos are really fun to watch, so I definitely recommend that you check her out. So follow me personally on Facebook and Transpective, Tran-Spective. Really love the dash. I'm not sure why, but that's about all my time for today. So enjoy yourselves, and I will be back next week. Take care.